It's always better if you offer your debt of gratitude in person. Certainly, I was working on the live stream a little bit today. We'll be improving on that. So when I start doing my live streams on Fridays, I'm going to actually go into a lot of the websites and walk through. It's going to be a lot more interactive going forward. I just think there's a lot better solutions. Chris, thanks for popping in tonight. I appreciate it. If you can give me a thumbs up, please, that'd be awesome. If the audio's coming through, I was messing with the settings today just to make sure that the live chat's coming through loud and clear for you guys. Awesome. It's great to see you guys. And so what I was saying is on this, I just went with the better live stream software that I was working on today. I really appreciate you guys popping in here. I'm obviously not going to do the normal 2-hour Friday live stream, but I thought I'd offer the Sunday live stream tonight. Chris, thank you. Appreciate that. And just kind of talk about how much more interactive I'm going to try to make the channel. I don't really understand why a lot of YouTube creators aren't doing that. And these are folks that are levered to significantly larger audiences than I am. I certainly wouldn't trade my loyalty with my subscriber base for anything. No way. As a matter of fact, I mean, we're just approaching the 10,000 milestone. We'll probably reach it when I'm sleeping. I was hoping to time it a little bit better, but it just didn't work out that way. I will be actually working tomorrow at my normal job when I probably turn the 10,000 mark. But I do certainly think that becoming a lot more transparent on the channel is going to be a goal of mine. I just sincerely believe that with finances, anybody can be helped. And I get hit with direct messages all the time that ask me, you know, hey, what do you think about this? And there'll be a major piece of that question that's missed, or I throw back an idea and it's very obvious to me maybe what needs to happen. And they always reply back and say, wow, I didn't even think about that. So those little solutions that we're providing, just one person at a time. And sometimes it just helps to have a second set of eyes looking at your proposal or where you might want to take your portfolio and align them with your goals. And that's a lot of time. What I find is the problem is when a lot of folks are looking to build their portfolio out, they're not building it in accordance with their own personal goals. You know, they'll over lever to the stock market, and then you're never going to achieve your goals because you're too overexposed. And that's a lot of what we talk about. You know, being an independent investor, a lot of people are completely scared of it and they don't want to have anything to do with it. I think the opposite. I think being an independent investor allows you the freedom and flexibility to do so much more with your decision making. You know, the opportunity to safeguard more cash, the opportunity to know that you're working on so much more profit potential because you're not sharing that year-over-year return. I mean, if you just stop and think about what I've put through on the channel over the last couple of years, and especially the last year, about how important each one of those points of appreciation, you guys see, if nothing else, over the last couple months, how difficult it is to make money in the stock market when you look at it from a short-term perspective. You know, it's difficult. And I've said from the beginning, even during this bull market, you know, the last 2 years has just been on fire. The last 10 years has been really, really gangbusters in the stock market. And for us folks that have been involved with it for so much longer, we know that, you know, times do change and stocks do inevitably go up and down. So it's very, very important for you to really, really understand what it is that you have control over. And that's a lot of what people, when they look at the financial landscape, they look at it and they're just completely overblown. They don't know where to start at all. And the most common question that I get, and I wanted to come out with this live. Sean, thanks for popping in the group here, man. Honestly, if you guys want to hit me up with some questions, you certainly can. I don't mind having a discussion this evening. I'm going to try to keep the live stream as under control as I can. Friday, I let everything hang out, man. We're typically 2 hours on those live streams. But this is a little bit more laid back, a little bit more chill. And if you are legitimately 19 years old, I don't know how long you've been with the channel, but I'm going to put myself in your shoes for just a second. And if I was in your shoes at 19 years old, I would certainly pay particular attention. I can water things down in the most simplistic of terms and tell you exactly what it is that you need to know at 19 years old, knowing that you've got 1 month, I would say. Very cool. You know, you've got all the time in the world on your hands, you know, and a lot of people your age, you know, 19 to 24, you're really very, very sidetracked with a lot of other activity going on, and rightfully so, honestly. But if you can just do a couple things for me, get the account started, get yourself off on the right foot in some diversified passive assets. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just ask me, okay? I don't want to patronize you, because I tell you what, a lot of these 19, 20, 21-year-old kids now, and I hate to, you know, speak in a condescending manner, but y'all are kids to me, man. 41 years old. When I was 19 years old, I was on a commercial fishing vessel in Alaska. So, you know, get that account started, man, that self-directed Roth IRA account that I talk about all the time. And I know Ernest had just released some interesting statistics into the Facebook group talking about how good you guys have it now. And I don't know if you can really appreciate enough how good you have it. And what I mean by that is, when I was your age, I didn't have ETFs. I didn't have full service brokerage houses that provide free trades. I didn't have any of that stuff. There was no self-directed account. Try to find a brokerage that offered self-directed investing, you know, that they didn't exist. So if I was 19 years old, I would really, really look to take a pause and look at the opportunity that you have. I think Robinhood is an okay platform. I do, but I think that you can do better. All right. I think any of the 3 platforms that I talk about right now as real solutions, whether it be M1 Finance, whether it be First Trade, or whether it be Webull, which those 3 offer free trades, and they all offer retirement accounts. You got to get into the retirement account first. So it's just awesome to have the younger folks in my community. I just take that responsibility with the utmost of care. I really do, because you're at an age where you can be very, very easily influenced in one way or the other. And I'll try to put my message across to you so you can understand that my message is aimed at empowering you, okay? I don't need anything from you, all right? I don't. But you do need some stuff from me, all right? And I'm going to make sure and deliver the goods to you free of charge, man. Just pay attention and hit me up with your questions. I'll be glad to answer them for you, man. What it would be to be 19 again, unbelievable. I feel pretty good at 41, though, man. I'm a pretty happy man. I had, you know, 10,000 subscribers for me is a big, big deal. I'm one of those guys that puts my head down and just works with ferocity. Seriously. I was nicknamed the Grinder throughout the course of this 10,000 subscriber journey. And that's exactly right. If you saw pictures of me in Alaska commercial fishing, that's some of the toughest work that you can ever do. And, you know, I did it, and I learned a lot from it. I learned that typically people don't push themselves to the limit. They don't. They never really actually find out how tolerant they are, you know. They always kind of define this safety zone, and we never really press outside of that safety zone very often and define our parameters of what it is that we can handle. And you can really find out a lot about yourself by doing something like that. So Matt, I've got you in the group here from Canada. He says, congratulations, man. Always listen to your videos and live streams the day after, as I'm usually work nights. Awesome, great, and solid advice. You deserve the success. Yeah, listen, I'm gonna be, you can call it modest if you want to, but my investments don't define me, okay? And I don't want them to define you. This YouTube channel only defines me to an extent that we can talk to people. Honestly, some of the Some of the most influential stuff on me, because I know we're making a difference for those people who want to listen, are the folks that come on and maybe it's the mood that they're in, or maybe it's just their willingness to challenge, the idea, and they unfortunately miss the point. And they come on and they start throwing things out there, and I care about everybody, right? I think the people who want to be helped will be helped. I put it in 1,000 different ways so anybody can relate to the ease of the message and understanding, when you need to choose your account and what benefits you should be looking at and what does fee reduction mean and what does it mean to tax protect your money. Those things are easy to teach to people who want to learn. But I always tend to focus on areas of improvement. Honestly, I have grand visions for this. I mean, a lot of people are going to build a house someday, which is one of my dreams, is to build a house someday. And a YouTube studio is going to be one of those things that I insist upon. A lot of people would insist upon, walk-in closets or, a wine cellar or a sauna or something. A YouTube channel is going to be, YouTube studio is going to be right at the top of the list with all the bells and whistles. So I think any of you guys that have been with the channel for the first 10,000 subscribers, you guys have put up with a studio that is, incepted in the middle of my living room, and I just think that that's a cool thing. I don't mind going through the trenches, and neither should you. It provides yourself an opportunity to appreciate what it is that you have. But I had one of the subscribers came on and talked about my live feed on Friday and said, you're really happy about losing money, or you're too happy about losing money. And you guys have to understand, it shouldn't come across that way that I'm happy or sad about a week in the stock market. Remember how I said the portfolio doesn't define me? A week in the stock market certainly doesn't define me. That's shallow and pathetic, honestly. And I get my response to it, and it got under my skin a little bit. And when I responded, I said, what do you expect me to be? Sad? Because the stock market isn't cooperating with my portfolio? I've had expectations about the stock market my entire life. And make no mistake, my expectation about the stock market is not that it's going to go up when I want it to go up, and it's going to go down when I think it's going to go down. In some form or fashion, I've said it many times, the stock market is a very humbling place. It's amazing how the stock market can trick me and do neither one of the things that I think it's going to do. You think it's going to go up or down, and it doesn't do either one of those. It's just an amazingly humbling place. But I want you guys to really understand that if there's capacity to improve your financial posture through the message, then I insist that you do it, okay? But do it for the right reasons, okay? Don't ever look at the stock market as being something that you are going to, that's going to supplement other areas of your life. I've said this many a times. You have one shot at life, one, and that's the one thread that we have all in common, honestly. And if you just focus in on the message and really focus on how it can fit for you. I talk all the time about defining your level of exposure to the stock market. That's extremely important. If you're out there and you're a single person, or you're out there and you're married and you got a spouse, or you're out there and you're 50, 60 years old, the rule is the same for each and every one of you guys. You have to define the exposure level that you're comfortable with. And for a lot of people out there, it might be 1 out of every $5 goes into the stock market. All right. Now, the reason why I came out with the Independent Investor channel is because I speak with so many people who have $0 out of 5, 10, or every $100 they have to invest, right? That to me is unacceptable. Okay, I do believe that there is a comfortable level of risk that you should be taking on. And for some of you guys, it may be 20%. allocated in the safest way that I know possible. And that's with your broad-based ETFs to the stock market, right? And if you came back to me and said, Ryan, I'm afraid of the stock market. I've had friends that have lost so much money in it. I don't want to overexpose. 20% is a nice start, you know? And those types of discussion, you have so much wider of a range to define that level of exposure if you're an independent investor. And this is why a lot of people don't understand. When you go in there and you talk with a financial planner, they're typically going to channel you into their program. Now, again, the person that's sitting across the table is going to get paid for whatever product they sell you. All right. And if you just understand a little bit more about that dynamic, you should want to know, right? It'll make you that much more powerful of an investor when you're validating a self-directed program and identifying the difference in agendas, right? I just happen to deliver this with no agenda, honestly. The only agenda that I have monetarily is advertising, monetizing the site through YouTube, which you can skip those if you'd like, and also my affiliate program with First Trade, which I can't tell you how proud I am of being able to offer a solution to you guys that offers free trades. I'm going to kind of get up to the top here of these comments. You guys are definitely hitting me up with some discussion tonight. It's a different group in here tonight. Evidently, Sunday is kind of a cool night, maybe more convenient for you guys as well. And I'll go ahead and throw down here and start to hit some of these. I've got Golffish1 on the line here, who's probably one of the most loyal subscribers to the Independent Investor channel. And I tell you what, the more loyal you are, the closer to zero we get. You know, some of these cats that joined in on the group just happened upon the channel when I had less than 100 subscribers. And if you did that and you happened upon the channel when it was very, very young in its evolution, you really have my attention and debt of gratitude. But Golffish is absolutely one of those subscribers. But I'm going to get to this question. Great work on 10,000 subs. Well deserved. Well deserved. It's not just the 10,000 subscriber number, but the amount of those 10,000 people that you have personally impacted in their financial life. Keep up all the hard work. Yeah, so the fundamental root is what we're after, and that is the most difficult part. I could come on here in 5 minutes and offer 3 stock picks. That's not going to teach a new investor, okay? It's not. Furthermore, those 3 stock picks are going to be entered into, and you're going to lose money, and you're going to get pissed off, and you're going to come back to me, and you're going to be angry because I didn't teach you about the basic understanding of how much allocation. Why are you entering into those stocks? What are your financial goals? What is your risk tolerance to the stock market? What do you think your risk tolerance to the stock market is? And do you have the opportunity to evolve that risk tolerance? If we don't have those psychological discussions before I just offer those 3 stock picks to you or tell you to just go buy Tesla and not tell you where to go, right? I'm doing you a disservice. There's no way I could look in the mirror and do that. No way. If I thought that we were misleading people on YouTube, I would shut the channel off. It would cease to exist. And I would be just as happy. The thing about it is, I know that's not the case. I know that there are people out there who sit across from the message and they're like, wow, all right, I've got this. This is interesting. Because this guy is obviously sincere. He obviously does this without an agenda. He obviously is passionate about the program. He throws out a lot of information, and I'm going to go validate it myself, all right? Then you go do that, and you actually find out that this stuff actually exists, and it's legit, and you can actually do it, and that I do it myself. That's the amazing part about it, man. So I couldn't ask for a better comment in really looking at the substance of the 10,000 subscribers. And I understand over the next couple days, we'll be excited to reach that 10,000 mark. I don't know what it means to the Google algorithms of the world. I don't know. I don't, you know? I do feel like YouTube is saturated with financial channels. I think there are too many. I think there's a lot of good ones. And I also think there's a lot of bad ones. I really do. And if you guys just watched my 10,000 subscriber video, I just earmarked a few of those that I do support. And if you use your imagination, you can also earmark the ones that were not on there as well. All right? Because I think if you have a self-serving agenda to come onto YouTube and use money in that way, don't ever mess with people's money. That's a lesson that I learned very, very young in life. And that's a lot of the reason why I have insisted on remaining close to the vest about seeking out compensation through the channel. It's very, very important for the integrity of the message not to go down that road. No way. And I don't plan on it. I don't. I will use this channel as a conduit for opportunity, but there's no way that I'm going to take advantage of a subscriber base that I've built up so much loyalty with. It's counterproductive, and it's something that we will never do. And I think that's a lot of the reason why a lot of people tune into the message, man. Thank you very much for that comment. Right above, I've got Investing Wisely, who I just appreciate the heck out of his honesty, man. It's legit. One of the best traits of an investor is to be able to control emotions and make rational decisions. Yeah, so see, I don't know if those are attempts at just trolling. Look, guys, I didn't know what a troll was. I'm very busy with my normal career, okay? So I don't live online, all right? This is about the only time that I'll throw together, you know, a piece of content when I think I want to drill down on a topic for my subscriber base, and I'll do that. But I've called it investing like being very robotic. And a lot of people want to deploy their emotional well-being to how they approach the stock market or how they played sports, you know, with emotion and emotional content and aggressiveness and all that stuff. That stuff doesn't have its place in investing. It takes a very, very astute mind to deal with the swings in the stock market. And it's interesting because you can say that you've got all the risk tolerance in the world, but until you put pen to paper, and this individual who's coming on saying I was extremely happy about losing $3,000 that day really didn't understand how deep of a perspective that I have on investing. He was approaching, or he or she was approaching me as if it was the first day that I had ever lost $3,000. Do you know how many down days I've had in the stock market? I don't keep track of them anymore. So what does one more have to do with it? Next week I'll be up again. It's fine. I've lived through these before. But there is no emotion in investing. And it's one of the easiest, most difficult rules to comply with when you're looking at tackling the stock market. But if you can do it, it can really make you wiser. And one thing that can really help you is to, again, seek out the level of exposure that you're comfortable with and not overexposing. That's the key. It really is. That's what's going to help you deal with the swings in the stock market one way or the other. So Investing Wisely, I really appreciate you popping in the group tonight. It's very cool. I appreciate every time I see you, man, your comments are legit. They're ground truth, you know, awesome comments. I really love them. I've got Rebecca Livemore here. Sean Burns, I don't think you need 3,500 to start a Roth. Maybe depends on where you invest, but I've started two with very small amounts of money. I do know you need 500 to start one with M1. That is true. M1 does have a minimum. Trade First does not. Trade First has no minimum to start a Roth IRA. So just a very good opportunity to start it with any amount of money there. But certainly you're not the only one. I've met so many people through the channel that got caught up in the Robinhood craze, and it's a very disruptive app. And if you're very happy with it, I have no problem with you using it as a brokerage account, because that's indeed what it is. Since they don't offer retirement accounts, then we can't enjoy those benefits. So I can't even give it credit like I can M1 for, yes, having Roth IRAs or retirement accounts available. It's just a different aesthetic appeal to the customers that they're appealing to. It's just a different approach to offering the pie approach and the settlement approach, and you know, the self rebalancing within the pie approach. It's just different. It drove me up the wall. Honestly, you guys know my opinion about it. But M1 is delivering a fantastic, cutting edge, low fee product to people. So I'm all about it. I'm all about it. So Rebecca, thanks for popping in the group tonight on a Sunday night. I'm going to keep it under control a little bit. Again, let's see if I can keep it less than an hour. I love this. Live streams are my absolute favorite thing to do because I get to actually engage with the group. So I'm going to kind of start at the top here. Chris, again, first one to pop in here, man. He says, congrats. I've got N Munch as well. You guys are awesome, man. I really appreciate it coming in and helping. Another great day to be an American. Yeah, I guess so. American. Yeah, I guess so. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of geopolitical stuff going on here, so we'll see what's happening. Sean, all I can say to you, man, 19 years old, you better stick with stick with the message. All right, we'll take care of you. If you have the access, join the Facebook group. There's a ton of people in there that have a whole ton of more experience than you. And again, I don't mean to be condescending, but with all due respect, you're 19. All right. And I will aim this question at myself. When I was 19, I did not know what I needed to know. And you stick with the group here, man. We'll take care of you. We'll get you what you need to know with taking your fees down to nothing. I had one of my subscribers kick in and say, gosh, Ryan, you turned me on to Merrill Edge. And I did. I turned a lot of people onto it. I'm still with them and will continue to be with them because the idea was that eventually you would get to incentive thresholds and start to enjoy free trades. They got back to me and said, I've paid $900 this year in trading fees, you know, and gosh, if I was only with a first trade or an M1, you know, how much better that money would have been channeled into my account and put to good use. You know what I'm saying? That money's gone forever. You know, you might be able to write off a few hundred of those dollars, you know, but that's it. That money's gone. So just stick with the channel, man. We will take care of you. That's very cool to have you. Says he's with Robinhood. Again, you know, just take your time to understand why it is. I'm not so down on Robinhood. I'm down in Robinhood being a primary option for a lot of people, as opposed to just getting involved with a good retirement account to start. And then if you're very happy with Robinhood, then keep it. It can be your brokerage account. But then again, I like to see everything on the same screen as much as I possibly can. So I want to become a real estate investor and a stock investor. You're the best I've seen on YouTube, man. Best stuff. Yeah, I can't disagree with you there. The difference between me and a lot of channels is I don't have an agenda. I don't put food on the table with YouTube. I do this for the sheer sake of delivering message. And it's hard for a lot of YouTube channels to understand that. I think there's a lot of other ones that do it as well. But you know, I see a lot of self-serving YouTube channels out there, man. I really do. You go to challenge the message and they start to act like the victim, you know, and they're making more than doctors. You know, I have no sympathy for that, none. And nor do I need to. I'm entitled to my opinion. If you're going to ask your subscriber base for compensation, then you need to be on your A game. That's it. That's it. Be able to justify the service that you're rendering for the cost that you're taking in. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry if I have to call a spade, but that's exactly what I do. And that's exactly what I'm going to continue to do. And for my subscriber base, you can feel like you can come in here and consume the content and do so free of charge. It's not going to cost you a dime. And you may end up saving thousands of dollars by actually listening to this information. You know, in that particular, I know it's Officer Towers, and a lot of you guys know he's part of my community. You know, what if he had taken that and taken that a different route, you know, instead of subjecting to those fees? And I've been there, done that. So, you know, I don't mean to say, you know, it was wrong of him to do that. It's not. People make this mistake all the time. And we talk about some of the best things you can honestly do in your investing career is just avoid those simple mistakes that a lot of people fall subject and victim to. Yeah, no, I thank you. I do agree with that. I don't mean to sound arrogant. I don't. But I'm one of those guys as well that if you came on the channel and said, Ryan, you're wrong on something, or hey, you need to relook at this. I don't have such an arrogant, you know, problem about looking at why I'm wrong and then evolving my thought. I'm never ever one of those people that'll come on here and say or perceive to know it all. No way. You want to know why? Because I don't believe that exists. I don't believe there's anybody out there that just knows it all, that can come on and just preach to the sun. And you know the integrity piece when they start to offer these, courses or pamphlets or memberships or things like that. And I know there's channels out there that I do support that offer that. That's fine. But again, you have to be providing value to the people that you're trying to help. Okay? If at the end of the day, when the rubber meets the road and those services are not turning into productivity for your client, then they need to be done away with. All right? And until I start to get some of those validations that some of those products that are being offered through YouTube honestly to me is kind of like the Wild West. And I would not want to be a new investor that's 19, 20 years old coming onto YouTube for the first time and just seeking out some of the largest channels on YouTube and expecting that I'm going to come out of it with a clear head. No way. No way. I don't envy that position. All I can say is I hope they make it to my channel first, because there's a ton of integrity on this message, man. There is. And you'll probably end up tripping and falling and ending up succeeding, which at the end of the day, I believe there is a bridge to that success, as long as you're willing to come to the message. The problem is I'm boring. That's the problem. I don't get up and yell and scream at everybody, and get everybody's attention. I don't do that. I won't do that. And that's where a lot of channels, if they're driving around in a Ferrari or a Lotus or whatever, it gets people's attention, because they assimilate success with those things, which they're not. They're not. It's a waste of money, to be honest with you. If you want to drive those things, that's fine and dandy, but I'd be really interested to know some of the behind the scenes looks at some of the accountings of some of these folks that just come off and perceive that they're so wealthy. I think some of the most wealthy people on this earth, you'd never know by looking at them that they're wealthy, because they don't have to wear it on their sleeve. That's some real talk for you. Appreciate it, man. Hi, Ryan. I think you have 2 streams going. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. No, I was trying to do the OBS. I'm setting up, but I can't get it right just yet. I probably need to upgrade my my internet service to get that to come through correct. It comes through okay, but not really. But good luck to you, man, and just stay with the channel. Those are some killer goals that you have. Maybe if I had it to do over again, I'd get into real estate as well. Make sure you study and get your real estate broker's license, your realtor's license, take your test, become a realtor, and start working your way up, man. It's hard. Real estate is a hard job, man. It's very, very tough. Rebecca, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Very, very much appreciate the support, man. Good stuff. Roth IRA account. My mom said I need $3,500 to start. No, that's not true. You're good. And I certainly wouldn't recommend as a young person to take all that time that you got on your side and just throw $3,500 at this stock market. I wouldn't. If you had $3,500, or let's say you just had $1,000, I'd start the account with $200. See, you're talking to a guy who knows the value of money, because I come from nothing. So when I'm relating with people who might just have a couple $100 to start, guys, I can take this topic and pulverize it down until we're talking about investing $20 a month. Why? Why am I able to do that? Because I used to do that. That's how I started, right? I started my retirement accounts. I sold a car that I had. I split the money, and I started those retirement accounts, and I started to DCA those accounts up at $20 a month. That's how I started. So that's my recommendation for you. Don't just talk about throwing those lump sums into the stock market. Talk about focusing your efforts on looking at a good full-service broker that I talk about. If you don't like Webull, or you don't like First Trade, or if you don't like M1, which you can go and just pull them up and check them out. Watch YouTube videos on them. You can see them without doing a thing. If you don't like those, go with a full service major brokerage, Charles Schwab, TD Ameritrade, Fidelity, Merrill Edge. All right, you can go with any one of those folks, but that's where your attention needs to be. Because as far as the portfolio building piece, that's easy. All right, that's the easy piece. That's why so many YouTube channels predominantly just focus on that, because fundamental wealth building is much more difficult to focus on. So I'm saving up my money. I'm in college and working really hard. Fantastic. Keep killing it, man. I got TD Ameritrade and I think or swim on my computer. That's good. Let me cruise on down here. Do I need 3,000 to start? Nope, you don't. I got Mr. Robert Lapointe in the line here who's hitting me up. It's responding to Sean. I appreciate that, Robert. Thank you so much. David Mathis, who's just an absolute ambassador to the channel, man. Some of you guys, it's so funny to see you. It's as if I kind of know you, and I don't. Congratulations on 10,000. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And then investing wisely, one of the best traits, no emotion in investing. Certainly. I'm working down here, kind of getting to some of these questions. Miko group, if you're here, maybe you can hit the thumbs up today, especially on this 5-digit day. Yeah, it'd be cool. You hit the thumbs up, man. I got 47 people in here. I never ever get the like amount of people. I don't know if people sometimes just pop in here and they're like, oh, it's just a boring guy again. I'm not really sure. But certainly hit the thumbs up button. Help us support this live feed that we got going on Sunday. I got True Financials here. I always try to call out the channel creators when they pop in here to the group. It's really cool, man, too. True Financials, man. I remember when you had 1 subscriber and you started out the channel. You're just really doing a great job on the channel. I hope you don't mind. I kicked into your live stream the other night. It's just fun. I like the aspect of surprise. I really do. There's certain larger channels that if they were to throw down and do a live feed, I would avoid their live stream like the plague. And I'm a little less politically correct than you are, that's for sure, because I tend to be a little bit more abrasive with my message. That's just the way I am. But I think you're doing some killer stuff, man. It seems like you're just really, really sharp and got your stuff together, man. And it's really cool because I've got to see your channel grow. So if you guys are kicking in, we got 55 people making their way into the group here, and True Financials, man, is doing a really good job on his channel as well. There's a bunch of folks, man, delivering some pretty cool messages. And he's actually got some really cool stuff on his website or on his channel as well about spending habits and things like that. So really just does a good job. And I think a lot of people relate to him as well, because I don't think he's not older than me. So he's pretty young, I think. And so, you know, if you've got the ability, man, to relate to folks in your genre, I just think, you know, when I deal with cross-generational stuff all the time. I'm not a millennial, you know, and I deal with young folks all the time. And I just think there's so many young folks that are so smart nowadays. But being smart is not enough. You have got to take advantage of every opportunity that's out there. And here I am, a 41-year-old with a YouTube channel, a side hustle that up until 2 years ago, I would have never, ever thought to do so. For you guys that are, you know, in your early 20s or mid 20s or late 20s, this should just be a thing. Honestly, it shouldn't be one of those things. We always rationalized it to be like, whoa, hold on a second. You mean to tell me that I can start a business, put a very little upfront investment in, carry no overhead with unlimited upside potential and profit? You spill it like that to me, to a business mind, and it just makes all the sense in the world. You know, I talk all the time about how challenging it is to run a YouTube channel, but in all actuality, that is true. But good grief, is the person that is leasing a building for $2,000 a month having to stock the shelves and rely on customers to come into that said business, brick and mortar, taking any more chance than me, running a YouTube channel? I think not. I think it comes down to a lot of perspective, but very cool to see you in the group here, man. True Financials. It's very awesome, man, because it brings back some memories of remembering when you guys started the channels, man. So if you guys feel so inclined, you kick in there, man, and support the True Financials, man. First time he's kicking into the live stream here. Unfortunately, this is my first Sunday live stream, actually, to be honest with you. Let me change this here to live chat. Make sure I'm getting all these comments. Yep, there's everybody. Oh my God. Oh my goodness, God, Jesus. And there's a ton of people, man. Okay, so we're going to have to go at least 20 more minutes tonight because there is just an absolute ton of people in here now. Oh, heavens to Betsy, I've already accused Officer Towers of paying $900 in fees on my behalf, man. I know you didn't mean it, and I kind of felt bad. I was like, good grief, I offer these. And that's why you got to think before you recommend these things. And it's so awesome to be able to offer these accounts now that are free of charge to allow people the solution to enter the stock market, without having to be subject to all these fees, man. It's just amazing. And again, if I could go back and speak to the younger Ryan and, speak to all these younger folks that are making their way into the independent investor channel, read the intensity on my face, man. It's a huge opportunity, man. It's so huge to connect yourself to the stock market and allow your dollars to grow unobstructed going forward. It's a big freaking deal. And I don't know if the younger generation has the opportunity to appreciate it as much, because they can be all because we've done away with some of the things that we traditionally entered into when we were investing. I mean, very few people talk about mutual funds anymore. I'm not an advocate of them. I just don't see the point in it when you can go with an index fund like that. And I just don't believe in the idea of seeking alpha year in and year out without taking a stumbling block and allowing people that think they're money managers underperform the market, therefore you suffer. And not only do you suffer, but you still have to pay the expense to own the mutual fund, So you got to be very careful, take advantage of those things out there, man. And that's why we look to bring those things to the surface. I've got Lydia Santiago in the line here. Very cool. Thank you for the help today. I didn't know that was a Windows-based OBS. I still have your tab open, actually. And I may actually look to switch over. I'm on an Apple-based computer here, but the Streamlabs is for Microsoft, so a Windows-based application. So I use actually the other one, and I think I've got it almost dialed in. I'm going to start using that for my live stream, so it's just not me talking for 2 hours straight. I can walk you guys through some exercises, some compounding calculator exercises. For you guys that haven't seen that stuff, man, you've got to. You really have got to see that. And I'm not talking about compounding calculators run of the mill. If you just Googled it and brought it up and blah, blah, looked at compounding and you'd make yourself a millionaire. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about compounding interest in respect to affixing the fee that is also associated with the count. That is the magic right there. And some of those things I want to walk you guys through, actually. I've got Ariel says, do you have a phone number? I do. I do. However, hit me up via DM. I'm very responsive. I'm very busy, so I don't typically respond real time. But I do keep a pretty good hold on the email traffic, and certainly I'm very accessible through the channel. You could do YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, honestly, but I like to have a life outside of YouTube as well. So hit me up via direct. My email, ryan.independentinvestor@gmail.com. So very simple. But anyway, I've got Noella in the group here, just an awesome supporter of the channel. Thank you. Really wouldn't be the same without you popping in here and saying hello. I mentioned Ruth and yourself on the the 10,000 subscriber video that I just came out with. I'm just honored to know both of you guys. I would have never met you had it not been for the channel. And those are the intangibles of the channel that I really, really put a lot of value on, is the relationships with people, and that they can take the message and do good things with it, right? Unlike Officer Tower, dropping 900 on fees, man. Again, that's why I'm so excited about offering those solutions, to folks if they're looking to start their account. And man alive, if you're in your early 20s or late teens and you're making your way into the independent investor channel, holy smokes, man, you got to feel like you're winning the freaking lottery. Honestly, this information's priceless. It really is. So, but thank you, Lydia, for coming in and popping in today. Very, very cool. I made the same mistake and finally hit on live chat. Now I've got all these questions in here that I didn't get to. So now I'm skipping all over the place. Matt M, let's get those thumbs up going. Yeah, man. Yeah. He's speaking that YouTube language for me, man. I appreciate it. I got to rely on those millennials, man, to keep me up to speed on all the new lingo today, because I'm freaking out of touch. I'm old school, baby. I'm old school. So I got Cal in the line here. Thanks for responding on the 10,000 video, man. Very cool. Appreciate you coming in. I'll read Officer Towers' comment here. Ryan, I know you aren't about buying cruise stocks. What are you talking about, man? I own Disney. Disney's a great cruise company, man. But you're going to have to explain why, when Royal Caribbean and Carnival have so much upside and pay great safe dividends, and cruising has its own moat. Yeah, that's a great point. And both of those companies are tops of the lines. They're very good. I didn't say that they were a bad subsector to invest in. What I said is I typically don't invest in them. Now, Warren Buffett typically didn't invest in airlines, and look what he owns now. I think if you wanted to have some exposure in the cruise industry, I think it's actually very attractive with two words in mind: baby boomer. That's it. And a lot of those travel ideas too. Expedia I throw in there, and I like booking.com. I really do. Any of those travel and leisure types of ideas, but I typically try not to outsmart it. I've just never really been that interested. I guess I'd be a little more interested to invest in cruise than I would the autos, right? And there's other subsectors that I just won't touch. The casino stocks, for whatever reason, I'm just not interested in investing in them. But I think the cruise industry is actually very, very interesting. And I love the fact that you bring it to my attention. I really do. It doesn't mean that I will never invest in them. It just means that I'm trying to be as transparent with you guys about those subsectors that I typically don't gravitate to. Now, again, it doesn't mean that I'm not exposed to the cruise industry. I did mention Disney, and it's a lot of people don't think about it that way. But I like Royal Caribbean. I like Carnival. There's one additional as well. Norwegian Cruise Lines is actually quite good as well. So any of those in that space with a very wide moat, you're absolutely correct, man. There's so much desire to take advantage. And as the elderly community get older, there's only going to be more and more need to provide that service to customers, man. So pretty good stuff. Like flying with Buffett's 9.5 of the 4 largest airlines. Yeah, exactly. I didn't even read that. I just came up with that when I was reading your comment, man. So good stuff. I've got Jesus Casadas. Hey, Ryan, I started my Roth with Vanguard. Thanks for the info you gave us. You're welcome. I do hope you're very happy with Vanguard. There was a time in the channel when I was being very, very close to the vest with the major brokerage houses that I offered, okay? Fidelity, TD, Chuck Schwab, all the big, Merrill Edge, Vanguard, of course, has to be mentioned because they're just very, very reputable company, okay? And keep in mind, for anybody that's new investing or with those old brokerage houses, just keep in mind that if you end up wanting to trade more often than not, I know Vanguard is actually very discouraging about trading in and out of their account. They put disincentives in there to make people not want to do that so much. But just kind of keep in mind, you don't need to marry your brokerage account, okay? I've switched many, many times in my life, many times. And if there's something that I don't like about any brokerage house that I have, Merrill Edge and First Trade included, I will be open about that. I was open about it with M1. It just wasn't for me, and it really came down to the aesthetics of the platform. I just didn't feel like it was as professional as I wanted it to be. That's just my opinion. Many, many people disagree with me. They like the fractional shares. That's wonderful. But if we don't have those discussions, then we're not evolving in thought and getting those ideas out there. So Just make sure you're cool with it. If you're happy about it, let me know. I certainly looked at Vanguard to swap in, and I wasn't happy with what I heard with regard to their incentive levels. Their free trades kick in at $1 million, which is absurd. I can get free trades now in every account that I own. So just knowing the landscape and being informed on what's out there. Remember that the brokerage or the bucket that's offered is just that. It's just your conduit. That's all. It needs to be as customer friendly as it can, easy to use, and as low cost to own, if not no cost to own, to give you that platform to provide you the access to the stock market. That's the most important thing when you're looking at your brokerage houses. So I've got Estrelita 29, Ryan 10 expense ratio. Is that too much for a healthcare ETF? No, it is not. 10 basis points is right in the range. I mentioned mutual funds at the top of the deal here, and I've got people who approach me all the time and they're like, Ryan, is this too much of an expense ratio? And it's 1.67%, 1.25%, 0.90%, you know, it's crazy. So a tenth of a basis point is really not 10 basis points. A 0.10 is really not that much at all. Very, very acceptable in my mind. If it has ETF attached to it, it's probably acceptable when we're talking about that product that you're buying. It's really just the offerer of that product who's bundled it all together, split up the allocation, and make sure that it's legally admissible, okay? And you can be rest assured that when you buy a product, for example, the healthcare ETF that you're talking about from Vanguard is expensed at 0.10. You can be rest assured that that's been vetted. It's subject to scrutiny by the SEC. So you're getting something for your money there. And honestly, if you're buying an ETF, it's the lowest cost to entry to the stock market. And I know my buddy Ernest has thrown into the Facebook group that Vanguard really isn't the lowest in the market, but competition right now is extremely fierce on offering the lowest cost ETFs. And most of them are just driving down to zero right now, honestly. But the answer to your question is yes, 0.10 is absolutely an acceptable expense. And that healthcare ETF I just bought this week for me. All right. So again, if it's good enough for me, it's good enough to throw out there and recommend for you guys. So I saw a recent article that says market wants to regulate both trading. Hope so. It could be, bot trading. That's interesting, like a Betterment, right? Yeah, I've always said, I get asked this all the time. I like the idea. I really do. I don't like the idea that I actually trade in waves with every other algorithm that's built and written to respond against certain technicals that occur in the stock market, right? So when I explain it that way, it doesn't really seem so appealing, right? Where my mind might just use instinct. And I know instinct isn't a good enough explanation for you guys, but when you put your money in the hands of a Betterment, for example, and they're just investing written by one algorithm, if you know a particular set or subsets of technicals end up hitting, then the algorithm will prompt your account to work, right? And I'm just not so sure if we're so evolved in the algorithms to take into consideration all of the perceived volatility that could be reacted upon by an algorithm. I mean, what if the stock market really goes down 10% in a day? How are the algorithms going to respond to that? You know, it's not something I'm an advocate for in my own money. I do like the idea. I've had some folks come back and say they weren't happy with it through the community. So, you know, who's to say? I don't have one single dollar of mine tied up in bot investing, but that'll be interesting to see how that evolves. I appreciate your comment, Mike. Thank you. Very cool stuff. Roth accounts are the best gift. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. They're a great way to get that. Now, so Lydia touched on something that I have to kind of talk about. So Roth accounts are the best gift. They are, if they're taken advantage of. All right. So I'm going to give you my little bit of a spiel. $458. Okay. Now it's $600, right? $6,000 a year. But the old contribution limit used to be around $458 a month. And for a lot of people, that's a lot of money to put into a Roth. So what I often say is, think about it this way. If you started with, let's say, $100 per month, you're realizing back 25% of your Roth benefit. It's just another way of thinking about realizing back your benefit that the government is giving to you to be able to tax protect money and tax protect that compounding effect over your money. Very, very important, because the government knows that they have to cap that amount because they know they're not going to be paid down the line. If you end up contributing $175,000 to your Roth over the course of your life and it ends up turning into $750,000, right? You've only paid tax on those contributions, right? When they went into that. Now that $750,000, that's yours. It can be withdrawn 100% tax-free at the eligibility age of 59 and a half. And that's just, it's a beautiful thing. But I always talk to people who are like, man, I'd love to start investing. I'm gonna do it next year. Well, every year that comes and goes, you're losing out on your bestowed upon benefit. And so if you can just start with $100, you're realizing back 25%. If you can do 200, so be it. You're almost at 50%. You see what I mean? And you got to kind of think about it that way, that each and every year that goes by, you want to make sure that and identify how far along you are in realizing your maximum contribution limit, which next year is $6,000. So very, very important. To me, I think it's incredibly irresponsible to let a year go by and not max cap the Roth. And I'm max funding 2 of them. All right. So that's kind of the way to think about it. If you're a single person, if you're a married spouse, whatever it may be, to realize as much of that benefit back as you can before you even think about setting up another account, right? Those surplus monies that are going to other accounts, you should really think about focusing in on that Roth account and not really being spread out all over the world. It's very, very important to make sure that you're realizing that benefit back. So we got 4 minutes left. Nah, just kidding. I might give a little bonus time tonight. We'll see. I want to make sure that I get all these questions, make sure that there's nothing falling into the group. I've got Jerry Welch. I have my taxable with M1 and my Roth with Chase. M1 like the partial shares, but I find I screw around with the pies too much. Yeah, it's going to be more beneficial to you in M1 to be passive in nature, which depending on I like to have the option of doing both. Part of my portfolio I want passive, the other part I want active. And that's where M1 was not good for me, is that if I wanted to just be passive all the way, then I can do that in any account. Honestly, it doesn't even really need to be a retirement account, to be honest with you. I can do that in a Robinhood account and just take long-term capital gains tax, if any, right? If my intent and my goal for my money is just to invest in it and let it sit passively. Furthermore, what's the benefit of having free trades if I'm just going to go passive the whole way? So that's one thing that I just felt like it just didn't meet my needs, because I can be active and I can be passive, but I want to have the opportunity to do both at the same time. And that's what I demand from my full service broker. My Roth and Chase, I buy and hold and don't do much messing around. So I'm hoping that you have free trades with Chase. They're very, very good. But yeah, that's an interesting observation that you have on M1. Again, I think the world of the brokerage house based on the testimonials that I get back to me. Me personally, I was involved with him for a month and I transferred away from him. I just wasn't happy with him. So let me cruise down here and make sure I'm getting all these comments here shown. I have risk tolerance. I didn't at first. I made some stupid moves, haven't we all? But I pick stocks I want. I'll buy the dip and the Vanguard ETF VOO. Yeah, certainly you at 19, the S&P 500 is the way to go. Get that son of a gun up to 10, at least 10 grand. And if you're looking at me like I'm crazy and how I talk about money, you could be at 10 grand within a matter of, years, a couple years. You could be there. So don't ever hesitate. Just allow that S&P 500 to grow over time, DCA it up. I'd shoot for 20, 25,000. Why not? start to add some cornerstones, some good portfolio stocks in there, some good dividend payers. Why? Because you have all the time in the world to do so. So just be kind of aware of that, man. That's a very good plan. 0.10 is an okay rate for a healthcare ETF. That's Vanguard's charge, one of the least expensive. Actually, all their sector ETFs are 0.10. They're all the same, all of them. They're all the same. They charge just a little bit more for their sector ETFs, whereas the VOO is more than half of that expense. So interesting. To be 19 again, I know what I know today. Yeah, exactly. That would be the caveat. I'd need to know what I know today for sure. But that's part of the beauty, honestly, the independent investor channel, that we can kind of offer some of those perspectives. I mean, when in the heck else would Sean Burns have a chance to rap with a 41-year-old about investing? You know what I mean? Probably wouldn't give him the time of day in real life. You know what I'm saying? Unless I knew the person. Let's be real, you know? Man, very cool. Travis Haywood's in the group here. Man, you made it. Awesome. As a personal invite for me, man. Travis, it's awesome to see you, man. Surprise live video. You bet. I did, man. I had to throw down tonight. We didn't hit our 10,000 tonight. I may wake up in the morning and it may be there. It may not. Again, it's just an arbitrary number as far as I'm concerned. This totally means more to me than anything. And that's going to continue to be the root of how we build this channel out for sure. So stay a little bit in cash, buy the lowest dip. Yeah, that's a good piece of advice there from Mike as well, to actually keep some cash on the side. Make sure that you're practicing paying yourself first. That's a Tony Robbins philosophy that I live by. I didn't coin that. Tony Robbins did. You got to pay yourself first. You got to prove to yourself that you can pay yourself. A lot of people can't do it. They can't. They want to, pay all the bills and then use all the bills as an excuse as to why they can't extrapolate $20 for their budget to invest in the stock market. That's just the way it is, man. It's very, very interesting. So I have a Roth and a trade with TD beginning in 2019. I will begin shifting funds from the traditional to the Roth. It's actually a pretty simple process. That's interesting. I'd like to know if there's some level of liquidation that's required in that transition from the traditional to the Roth, or if you're going through the actual backdoor process. I'm actually mentioning Robert LaPointe's comment there. That's interesting. I'd like to know if you're actually talking about a backdoor there, man. So very, very beneficial. If you've got higher than average income, you take the traditional benefit up front and then backdoor it and Roth it, so you're not subject to minimum required distributions later on in life, and you tax protect all the money that you've already got the benefit on. So it's legit too. You can do it. It's legal as hell, man. I know those little tricks of the trade. It's awesome. I got Matt in the line. Ryan, thanks for the right message. Set up a TFAS. Yep, I know that account. Some of my Canadian subscribers have tuned me onto that. It's basically the same as our Roth IRA, so cool stuff. Been able to put $2,000 into a solid emergency fund this year. Look to put another $8,000 in 2019. Got the contribution room for it, man. You're starting off perfectly fine. That's a builder's perspective, and I'm going to start using that term more. You have to take a builder's perspective. You can't just throw it all on the stock market and do this. That's not going to work. You have to build. You have to build it up. And once you build and put those pieces in place, you've got to look for other areas to build in. So you're constantly building and evolving. I really enjoy you being in the group. That's a killer comment, Matt. Thank you so much. Do we find out what the announcement is tonight? No, I will tell you guys, there's 45 people in here, and I know, this is just the internet, so I'm sure you guys can absolutely keep a secret. But I've been asked to be a guest at a speaking engagement for a small company, and I won't give specifics on it, but it could mean speaking to a group of 100 folks. So I'll be preparing an all-day conference basically for these folks. And they want me to discuss the prospect of self-directed investing, offering solutions to their workforce. Because guys, you have to understand, it's like anything. If you come into a group like this and you hear me drone on for 2 years about self-directed investing, maybe after time, you start to kind of be like, Ryan, okay, we get it. But for people that don't have any idea about this topic, it means the world to them. And for people, furthermore, who don't think that they can participate in the stock market, and a guy like me is able to bridge those gaps in understanding that, you can do it. You don't have to be an analyst. You don't have to be able to read, financials. You don't. You do not have to be able to read a financial to buy an ETF. I'm sorry. I will argue with anybody. And I will furthermore say that if you had the opportunity to take a passive asset that I just said needs no experience to own and know what account to open and put those two together, guys, explain to me what experience is necessary to be able to do those two things. Teach them about dollar cost averaging, teach them about dividend reinvesting within that account, and they're off and running. It's that simple. I just summarized investing in less than 1 minute. If you knew nothing about the stock market, if you didn't have any interest in being a single stock investor, which honestly, there's a lot of prudence to understanding the value of passive investing through ETFs anyway, right? So that is the opportunity. It's not going to go down until potentially next summer. If it does, in fact, it's being cleared right now. So that's why I've actually been somewhat, hush-hush about it. And again, when those specifics are finalized, I have no problem with being transparent. I do have every intention of actually filming the entire conference. And that'll be put online for you guys to view, probably through the Facebook group. I think would probably be a great conduit for that. But one way or the other, I'm going to film the content and film me delivering to a group. That's where I'm in my element. That's my passion. I love doing that. I love feeding off of the energy of an audience, which is, on a smaller scale, exactly what I'm doing now for you guys, honestly. So I'm going to continue to scroll down here. K97, I hate to be vague with you, but that's what the opportunity is, and I'm very excited to oblige that invitation if it does end up getting finalized. So very cool stuff. No offense taken, I'm all ears. Good stuff, man. That's the way you got to be at 19 years old, man. I hate to be blunt with you, man, but I've made every mistake in the book. And if I can just tell you and be honest with those mistakes I've made, I would expect that you would just be like, wow, Ryan was pretty, forthcoming with his mistakes. I probably would like to avoid that if I can. You know what I'm saying? So very cool. Stick with the message. Mike O, I know it's hard to gauge, but if you're long-term, these levels are pretty low all around. But if you're long-term, these levels are pretty low all around. I don't know what you're referring to there, Mike. Just clarify for me, man. If you're talking about my portfolio or where I am at 41, I would take that and say that if you do mean it that way, you're probably right. If I was Sean Burns and I was talking to myself when I was 20 and I implemented the information that I put through now, I would have triple the portfolio that I have right now. So if that's what you're referring to, if not, I don't want to imply that I know what you're talking about there, man. But it is what it is. There's no guarantees in investing. My portfolio is what it is at 41 because that's what we've got. Being an hawk twice with the IRS and getting in trouble with penny stock trading. I've done it all of it. Made every mistake in the book, no doubt. And I'm transparent throughout the catalog of my videos on just that. So if you can just avoid that stuff, be a safe investor, approach the stock market carefully, calculatively, keep enough cash on the side to be comfortable with your level of exposure to the market, you'll end up coming ahead, man. It's very interesting. Jerry, I'm 43 and just started investing. Wish I could turn back time. Yeah, right. Now, man, just keep living. Life's a gift. Doesn't matter what age you are. It's that simple. Is really great. Also, having Canadian companies dividend receive tax credit. There's a lot of killer Canadian companies out there as well. Some of your Canadian banks I really like as well. It's very interesting stuff. I say maybe wait for the first quarter earnings report and see how the market reacts and what news comes out. Yeah, that could be it. There's a lot of geopolitical risk right now in the stock market to be concerned with. So, Yes, yeah, Steam Labs. So I got True Financials hitting me up. That's the tab I've got open right now. But unfortunately, what I saw in there, and I could be wrong because I just looked at it today, it's a PC-based application only. But I am using OBS for my Mac, actually. And that application seemingly doesn't have quite as much in way of benefits that the Steam Labs OBS has. I appreciate that. I've got it open, and I'm going to research it more. But correct me if I'm wrong, that it looks like that's a PC-based application alone. So I'll figure it out. It'll be a lot more fun to offer that little more engaging of a live stream, because I want to show you guys some of my favorites tabs and actually go into some of those resources. I know I throw them into the Facebook group, but that just, if somebody's got to go in there and exercise it themselves, where I would rather just walk through some of those exercises with you guys. Ryan, I think you should give us more ways to support you. Okay, so Rebecca silences the talker. Very awesome. That's an awesome comment. Yeah, so with that said, I'm such a happy guy, irregardless of my interaction with YouTube. YouTube is an interesting animal in and of itself. I enjoy the interaction. I really do. I don't enjoy the negative interaction. I despise it, actually. It can be somewhat consuming and addicting a little bit. I have somewhat of an addicting personality, and I have a drive to win as well. So there are a lot of channels out there that have received much more accelerated growth than my channel. And then there's also channels that haven't enjoyed some of the growth that I have either. So in all fairness, I've been told I need to do Patreon and all that stuff. And I don't know. I do certainly appreciate you making that comment in the community. I just think that I don't mind approaching this project the way that I approach every other project. And I approach YouTube the same way I approach investing. And that is, if you invest the right amount of time into the project, it will pay off. Okay? Do I have viral videos? No, I don't. Through the nature of not having viral videos, do I pick up 30,000 subscribers that are morons that I don't want on the channel anyway? Right? Do I provide enough clarity and sincerity so you guys are comfortable enough recommending me to your friends? Right? So where is it that you put value? You know, I just don't want to take away from the integrity of the channel by putting a tip jar in front of the channel. There are certainly ways to compensate me that are much more valuable to me, and that is, if you did have somebody that you wanted to bring onto the message, then do so through referral. And the strength of that, 10,000 subscribers, it's a relatively small YouTube channel, but I would put the loyalty of my group up against anyone. And it had everything to do with the advice that I got from the Practical Psychology, who runs a channel of 1.5 million subscribers. He told me, carte blanche, take your time in growing your channel. So many people want to grow their channel so fast and pay for advertisement and grow it and manufacture subscribers. I don't feel like I have that on the channel, nor would I be able to be proud of that product that we've built over the last couple years if we were looking to manufacture that growth. And I know you're probably going to come back and say, come on, Ryan, stop being so modest. You know, you got to do something. And I don't see that happening. I do have ways that I make monetary compensation on the channel, and that's through the annoying ads at the beginning and the end of the channel. Sometimes I'll throw one in the middle. Most of the time I don't. And also the affiliate program through First Trade. I'm actually very excited about that opportunity. And if somebody transfers over a Roth IRA to First Trade and enjoys free trades, I don't get any money for that. Have I provided a solution? Yes, I have. But unless it's a brokerage account or a taxable account at $2,000 minimum, the account, the first trade has to occur within the first 30 days. I don't get any type of referral compensation. Does that mean I'm not going to offer the solution to people? I just can't do that. It's a vast improvement offering those solutions to folks who are just new, starting out, when I know in my mind I've got 668 questions of, Ryan, what's the best account down there that doesn't charge you for fees? You know, now I can offer that solution to people. And if by nature of that referral they end up opening the brokerage account on top of the Roth, then so be it. I will be compensated for that through the affiliate. But I've made some killer contacts through this channel, and so payment comes in a lot of different fashions. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about, you know, me coming on here and offering the message is the sheer and ironic thing that I don't have to do the channel. I think that's cool. I think a lot of people are like, wow, okay, this guy really doesn't have an agenda. You know, he's not looking to entertain. He's upfront about it. But if you want to learn a few things about investing, he can certainly teach you. But I appreciate the heck out of that. And you supported me. You gave me $5 tonight. That's cool. That makes me feel good. Makes me feel good. So anyway, I've got Matt below here talking about the Canadian stocks here. There's just some great Canadian companies to hold in the TFSA. Just the Canadian market is oversaturated in financial, energy, and resource. Need USA and international companies to diversify. That goes with anybody, honestly. The stock section of the portfolio, you can use the portfolio models to really understand. I'm the most underweight. I'm the most underweight in international assets right now in my portfolio and small caps. Right now, I'm working on the small cap aspect. That's actually what I'm buying in first trade right now through the ETF VB. So that's the exposure protocol that I'm looking at there. I do have some small cap exposure through my work-related pension, but the small caps are just what I'm looking at right now to beef up on the exposure. And right now, I have very little international exposure, but I do have some. But very, very underweight. I just own the majority of my assets in the U.S. as that is the premier place to be, in my opinion. What do you think of the Apple dip? I think Apple's a buy. I mean, if you wanted to buy the stock long right here, I've got 21 shares of the stock right here. I did sell 20 in the 220s, took some profit there. But I think right here, I think you'd be fine owning Apple. I think it's a wonderful company. I'm not going to pile on Apple like everybody else. Those same analysts were the ones recommending the stock at $220 a share, you know, and now all of a sudden it's the worst thing since a penny stock, you know. I look at Apple different. I think they've got phenomenal innovation. I think they're a well-run company. I think their cash flows are exciting. If you want to talk about like decelerating iPhone sales and whatnot, I'm sorry. There's a lot of companies out there with far greater problems with, you know, decelerating iPhone, you know, sales. And I think their services business really is the secret gem and reason to own the stock. I'm interested to see what they do with their cash that they're sitting on. It's just one of those easy to own companies, really is. It's made me a fortune. So what's to say? I just got an Apple Watch last week. I love it. I love their products. I just love them. You know, it's a product that you can invest in, you know, and I've had my iMac for, you know, 6-7 years now. It runs like the day I bought it. You know, I can't say that about any PC I've ever owned. You know what I mean? So pretty good stuff. Noella Man says 10,000 and 100,000's next. That's hard to imagine. Okay, I'm going to say this right now. Here's my big announcement for K97. If we reach 100,000 subscribers, we are going to Las Vegas, and we are going to Las Vegas for an entire week. Okay, and everybody on the channel is going to be invited. I will be there. Okay, you can come and hang out, and we'll go watch the Blue Man Group if they're still around. I don't know, but 100,000 subscribers, we will be partying in Vegas. We're gonna have a good time in Vegas, man, for sure. We're gonna film the whole thing. We're gonna put it on, but it's all about having fun. Remember, that's in line with living once in life. And you know, Rebecca talks about me getting paid. I'm a dreamer, so I love to dream big. That's what keeps me going. And 10,000 subscribers is almost like a partial dream come true for me. So that's enough payment that I need right there, as long as the information is being received in the manner that I insist that it be received on the channel. That very, very important to me. I do not want it to be misconstrued in any nature whatsoever to where somebody goes out and gets hurt, because it's a sensitive topic. It's a very important topic, but it's sensitive, and you have to be very, very careful when you're talking about, you know, offering a testimonial or an opinion-based channel on money, for fear that somebody's going to go out there and misapply your information and hurt themselves doing so. I'm very, very careful with that stuff, man. So good stuff. Buy some XRP. Love it. What the brass bull all about? So funny. That's the coolest comment of the night right there, man. The bull's been with me since the very beginning, since video 1. This comes from downtown on Broadway in Lower Manhattan, right next to the Raging Bull. You can only buy it in one spot, and I haven't said a word about it, but I think it would be unfair to acknowledge the actual #1 subscriber to the Independent Investor channel, the Bull, no doubt. So thanks for offering, man. That's the Raging Bull, man. Downtown Broadway, man, just off of Wall Street. Never seen that on any of the movies, man. Very cool, man. Good stuff. We're the old guys of the YouTube financial channels. Yeah, and I'm cool with that. True Financials channel is awesome. It does a really good job, a very clean delivery. So like I said, man, if there's folks in here, you want to go on and add some subscriber base to his efforts as well, man. I'm all about the effort. Very genuine, very sincere guy. I'm very glad to see him in the group here for the first time. Must have been able to kick in on a Sunday, which is very cool. It means a lot to me, actually. Very cool. So we're almost to the end here. I'm going to kind of make sure that I hit most everybody if I can. Might be Windows only that. I use a PC, hopefully. Yes, that is correct. I just want to scan through. I don't want to make this too long-winded tonight on a Sunday. Everybody kind of expects these live streams to go down on Friday. We will continue on our normal broadcast schedule on Friday. We'll throw down again, and by that time we'll really be at 10,000 subscribers, I guess. But anyway, I'm going to scroll through here and make sure that I got these questions, because this is the most important. I've got Joni. Do you reduce your risk and build some powder to average down? Yes, I do. I do. It wouldn't be. Now, there's part of my portfolio that I keep long. Okay, so just be cognizant of the fact that I am very, very disciplined in doing everything that I know about dividend investing, value investing, growth investing, which I'm getting crushed on right now. I'm getting absolutely crushed in Google, Facebook, Amazon, which I think all 3 are buys right now, by the way. I couldn't envision not investing in these fine companies. It's just that simple. But I'm getting crushed right now, which is fine. We'll come back. But yes, I am actually got a lot of cash on the side right now. Close to 100 grand right now, cash just on the side, which is about 30% of my total overall investable assets. I've got about 200 leveled to the stock, levied or connected to the stock market, about 100 grand set aside for a rainy day right now. So just in line with what I preach, you know, that money I have no desire whatsoever to throw into this stock market right here at an all-time high. But the dollars that I do have invested, they'll stay there as well. And I do have some tradable positions I've reduced back. I'm moving some into some sector-specific ETFs for some more diversified exposure. I was very, very heavily levered to single stock. And one of my goals in my portfolio is to seek out a little bit more diversification within the portfolio. So very good question. Thank you. I could probably make an entire YouTube video on that particular topic. So good stuff. Not having where the bottoms are. Sorry, I'll be more clear. No, I didn't take offense to it. You're all good. Do you reduce your risk? Yep. Ryan, thinking about moving some of the money out of the C fund of the TSP. Do you think I should keep waiting for the S&P? It just depends on what your other allocations. If you've got 100% in the C fund, I've got a 70-20-10 mix, just so you know, and I don't mind just telling you what I have. I've always had 70-20-10. So C, S, and I fund for me, C being 70%, and I never touch it, never. It's my completely 100% passive portfolio, and the reason why I do that is because if I zig in that account and the market zags, I'm going to be off on my percentage of year-over-year return. So I keep that 100% passive. And that's part of one of the fundamental pillars in my total overall portfolio is I can justify taking some white meat or some powder, right, as Joni talked about there, because I do have the employee sponsored. And that's where a lot of 401ks can kind of play that role for a lot of you guys out there that are actually involved in the 401k. Just contribute to it, set it up to be completely passive, and then set up the self-directed Roth on top of it to be a little bit more of a tip of the iceberg or a top of the pyramid type of approach to where you can justify getting a little bit more aggressive in there. We've taken some growth positions, try to gain a little bit more accelerated earnings to manufacture some dollars. That's what I do. I mean, if I'm up 5-6%, I may not hesitate to take profit to put that white powder aside, right? So just give you an idea of my perspective on approaching things, man. So good stuff. What you said actually makes a lot of sense. Good things will come with time. Keep up the good work. Man, I just appreciate the heck out of you. You're such a kind person. It's awesome to have you in the group, Rebecca. Thank you for that comment. It's very, very cool. I really appreciate that. Really like your channel because you are yourself and you speak your mind. I do. I can be abrasive, and I'll try to be good. Okay. I tell you what, Lydia. Here's the thing, and you'll notice that my comments don't show up on a lot of channels out there, especially some of the bigger ones. I try to support Scribner as much as I can. But some of the other channels, and I'm not going to name names. I won't do that. If you sit back for a second and really ask yourself what good is coming out of this information, I think the answers that you would come up with, or the actual results that are being produced from folks consuming that content, are actually extremely scary, and that's what irritates me. It really does. It really does. They're not being told what it is they need to hear at a young age, and unfortunately, a lot of people buy into that group think, and they move away from being able to think for themselves. And that's another thing that I try to talk about is you can't do this because I say to do it. You can't. You have to just take the fundamentals. And I would love somebody to come and say, hey, Ryan, you said this, but you said this over here. I disagree. I'm not doing that. I'd be like, that's awesome. Tell me more. Tell me why. You know, that's the evolutionary thought that I want to try to promote on the channel, is to make people understand that they're doing it for the right reasons. Okay. Don't ever, ever take somebody's advice. And this is something that I hope you pay forward on your channel as well, because, you know, you're very passionate about investing. People are going to watch that and they're going to say, wow, Lydia does it, so I can go out and do it as well. That's not true. That's not true, because your risk tolerance is different than those beginning investors. And the secret sauce is putting yourself in the position of your viewer and really trying to relate with them and understanding that they may not understand as much as you do about the stock market. And God, I'm first to say I make mistakes all the time, man. You know, the stock market is a haven for mistakes. Very, very difficult to get in there and just, you know, make every perfect move and buy every penny stock that you need to buy and end up driving around a Ferrari for the rest of your life. All the power to you if you can do that. I just don't think that represents what's possible for the masses. I think for the masses, you can succeed in the stock market, but there's a few things that you must understand about approaching the stock market before you ever think about succeeding in the stock market. So very cool. Thank you, Letty. Appreciate. Avi, Ryan Gratz on, geez, Louisa just jumped on me, 10,000. Been a group member for over a year and so happy to be a part of the community. Thank you for all the great information and insight. Here's to a great 2019. I hope so. We're not out of 2018 yet. I'd like to see the stock market over the next 2 weeks go gangbusters. I'd like to see it go up. I'd like to see it pay credit for how good of an economy we have right now, and how poorly the stock market has performed over the last 3 months may have actually provided us some runway for a year-end rally. We'll see what happens. This will be the time that, over the last 3 months, I've been wondering why I'm a stock investor, but typically it doesn't last forever. And you're usually provided a lot of validation as to why it is you need to have some level of exposure to the stock market and not zero level of stock market. I touched on that at the beginning of the live stream. I've got Ernest in the group here. There's a challenge, 100,000 subscribers in Las Vegas for a week. That's one whole week. Seriously, one whole week. And I'm talking like Friday of the week before all the way until Monday of the following week. So maybe like eight days or 9 days. That's what I'm talking about. Ernest, I hope you don't mind me dropping a line to you in the group in all sincerity. No doubt about it, you're a light in the Facebook group. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You're just a super, super smart guy. Thanks for the information on the SEP as well. I'll be working on that this week. That was an overstep by the tax accountant, which I tell you what, you cannot trust the information that you get just as being golden. I should have probably got a second opinion, but I got 2 opinions. I should have got a 3rd opinion, actually. But very cool. Thank you so much for that. It helped me immensely. I really haven't earned a paycheck on YouTube, but for the last 4 months, that's it. For the first year and 8 months of the channel, I didn't make anything, nothing, zero, which is fine. The last 4 months I drew my first paycheck from YouTube 4 months ago, my very first one. So it should be no problem to switch out of that right now. You were talking about back into 2017. That shouldn't be an issue for me at all. So really cool to see you in here, man. You will get to 100,000 sooner than you think. And I don't know. I'm a realist, man. It took a long time to get to 10,000, man. So K97, I really appreciate that vote of confidence, man. You're gonna have to tell more of your friends, man. I don't know what else to tell you, because I don't have very many friends, and all the friends that I asked to come and support the channel, none of them came on and supported the channel. So all you guys are my new friends that have actually come on and helped me support the channel and are probably putting it to really, really good use, man. So Sean Burns is saying, yes, please, maybe I'll be old enough to drink with you then. Yeah, 2 more years, partner. Seriously, man, 2 more years, and then we'll be Vegas. It'll probably take another couple years to get to 1,000 subscribers. I don't know, man. YouTube is a powerful tool. Maybe it'll surprise me. It surprises me all the time. Hey, 10,000 people, that's nothing to shake a stick at, man. But again, I really put the value on the loyal people who come on and are using this information as I am. And that's where the value is for sure. So let me see here. I want to make sure that I get through all these questions, guys. I don't want somebody left out in the cold, man. It's raining outside right now here, except for in Southern California. I'm sure it's probably 70 degrees out there right now, middle of December. So let me see here. That's a good place to gamble. It'd be hard to choose a good slot machine considering prices and prior rolls and potential profit, etc. Michael. I have a good time in Vegas, and it doesn't have a lot to do with the gambling, to be honest. I do like 21. I like blackjack, but I like the clubs. I like the club scene out there is fun. It'd be a lot of fun. It'd be a lot of fun. Opened my Roth IRA with TD just now. Already had my account. Good stuff. Becky says, make sure you get a self-directed Roth IRA. That's about the best advice you can take away. I mean, I mentioned some of the summary points, from the last couple years offering, and it just goes without saying. I mean, that account question comes up so many times. We just need a video about recognizable people to create some traffic. Warren Buffett, Jack Bogle, Dave Ramsey, and Susie Orman also come to mind. I like every one of those folks, man. Dave Ramsey's getting a lot of. I didn't get to watch True Financial's latest video on things that he doesn't have in common. There's actually some things I don't have in common with Dave as well. My perspective on credit, things like that, living below your means, things like that. I do like what he's done for people on the debt reduction side of the house. And Dave Ramsey has actually probably changed a lot of lives for the better. There's some stuff out there on the real estate side of the house that I won't get into that seem a little interesting. And I'm not going to give somebody credit that I don't know. Unless I met this individual and could look in their eyes and see how sincere they are about their message, and that they're not just trying to promote themselves at all cost. I don't really give anybody the time of the day. I know Warren Buffett's legit. He lives like he's legit. How can you accuse him of any other thing? And Susie Orman, actually, ironically, has been a big influence on me with regard to setting up and understanding the benefits of a living trust, which is another thing that you guys, we come to the Independent Investor channel and we talk about how we can build wealth. How is it that we protect that wealth, going forward and entering into an estate, that can avoid probate in our untimely passing? And that's not something that I want to get into tonight when I'm celebrating, but it's interesting that you mentioned that. I dig Susie Orman. I think she's awesome. But a dork like me who's into finances would say that, I'm, more of a fan of Susie Orman than I am Tom Brady, I guess. So that's just how big of a dork I am about investing. But, cool stuff, man. Nicholas S., you're pretty much only stock channel I watch. Yeah, you could probably get away with that. Scribner's really good. I like Nate. I like Nate a lot, man. Nate's awesome. I wish I could deliver content like he does. Nate's real solid, man. He's just very smooth, very young. And he doesn't do YouTube exclusively either. I have a feeling that they've got him wrapped up in something where he's putting his brain to work for this country. So at least that's what I hope. I really do, because I just have all the respect in the world for Nate and Marvin, and Dave and all those guys that I talked about on the video, man. I meant it on every one of them. So, but I really appreciate that. We'll keep the message going, man. I do anticipate seeing this through and making sure that we're offering the Independent Investor channel until I'm gone. Seriously. Got to get to Vegas. Got to do it, man. So good stuff. Been averaging down on pretty much everything. I love Susie Orman. yeah, I did too. I mean, I don't love her, but she's really cool, man. Thank you, Travis. Been lurking while watching the Bears game and hosting a party. You're still streaming? You're a machine. Congrats on the 10, man. Tell you what, man, I'm going to hang up on this right now. We've been going for over an hour and 30. I meant to come on here for a half hour, but, you guys know, Ryan S., what do you think of the death stocks? Oh, Jesus. We'll leave on that note. I will pick up on that question the next time, man, but for sure. But it's really good to have you guys in this on an impromptu Sunday evening, man. Certainly make sure that if you can make the time next Friday to come in, and we'll facilitate a much bigger group. I can certainly handle a lot of the questions. I typically try to get to everybody. I am a machine when it comes to this topic, but I love it. I love talking about finances, man. I love having the dialogue, cross dialogue with the community members. You're all part of the family here at the Independent Investor channel. We'll do everything that we can do, man, from the 19-year-old who was in the group tonight all the way up into the folks who are looking to have retirement on the horizon, man, 50, 60, 70 and beyond. This message, it resonates with everybody, man, and I'm here to deliver it for you guys. I'm going to get on and enjoy, man. If you haven't hit the thumbs up to support, man, most everybody has, it looks like. I thank you for everything. Have a great week, and we will pick up hopefully a couple uploads this week if I can. If not, we will pick up next Friday on the live stream, guys. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your weekend, man. Go Bears.